Welcome to Roll, Ponder, and Play, a podcast dedicated to crafting stories through the application of role-playing game engines, combined with creative thinking and propelled into the ether by the barest of prompts. I'm Jarrett Hess, taking on all the roles of game master, solo player, author, and narrator. Come with me on a journey, and together let us explore realms of shadow, danger, and wonder. One role can decide the fate of many things. Welcome to episode 14 of the Queen of Shadows podcast on Roll, Ponder, and Play. I'm Jarrett Hess, your friendly neighborhood game master, solo player, author, and narrator. In our previous episode, Eilwen, Aron, and Kyffin continue their journey to the mountain pass. There, amidst the gray, ice-rimed cliffs, they find a body of a humanoid with a cracked wooden mask of curious design and ruined weapons and armor of fine make. The human-like being is clearly not human and is missing its eyes, and its open chest cavity reveal it is missing its organs as well. In addition, they see strange blackened holes pockmarking the corpse, and they see signs that whatever did this might very well be a large creature of some sort moving about the area, a creature that leaves furrows in stone. They cautiously continue traversing through the pass, and find some large river birds hunting for fish near a rushing river, over which is a stone bridge with ornate scrollwork design and carvings in a similar style to the artwork found on the cracked mask of the humanoid. They hunt some of the wild birds and eat well that night. The next day, near an overpass, their progress is hampered when a young wyvern thinks them an easy meal and attacks them. Eilwen is enchanted by the creature's prowess and grace, yet still, she gives it the killing blow, but in so doing, she suffers from bruised or cracked ribs and a sprained ankle. Anxious to get under cover, they continue their journey through a narrow slot canyon. There they find a cave and hope to use it as a resting spot. Instead, they find inside it is a wyvern lair, possibly for the very one they killed that day, or possibly for its mother or a sibling. Eilwen takes an egg to train a baby wyvern when it hatches. Kyffin and Aron are both opposed to her decision, but Eilwen is not swayed and convinces herself that it is a brilliant idea, one that very well may add a powerful ally to help her on her quest. As we begin this episode, Eilwen's stats are Edge 2, Heart 1, Iron 1, Shadow 3, Wits 2. Current assets: Archer, initial box; Cutthroat, initial box; Shadow Walk, initial box; Duelist, initial box. Current statuses: Supply 5 out of 5, Spirit 4 out of 5, Health 3 out of 5, Momentum 8 out of 10. Current debilities: None. Current unspent XP 0. And now, on to episode 14 of Queen of Shadows. They moved on for another day, pressing onward through narrow canyon walls. At night, she'd snuggle up to the egg, keeping it warm. She could hear the tiny pecking sound from within. Aron still hadn't spoken to her, and Kyffin thought she was just playing daft in the head. Nights beneath, maybe she was. The snow fell heavily all about them as they trudged along. Thankfully, the narrow canyon walls usually protected them from the worst of the elements, save when the wind sometimes changed and came thrashing along the narrow way like one of the heralds themselves. Okay, this is another Delve the Depths move. When you traverse an area within a perilous sight, envision your surroundings, then consider your approach. Our approach is with haste. We are rolling with edge this time. And I rolled a 3 on the action dice, plus 2 for the edge, versus 8 and 8 on the challenge dice for a miss with a match. Oh, man. They are not making good progress on this. Too many misses. And this one has a negative twist as well with those matching 8s. This is bad, bad, bad. Okay, so I rolled up some things, but I will reveal those rolls later. Onward. At about midday, such a change occurred, but worse this time. The weather turned from bad, constant, heavy snow, to much worse. A scouring gale of ice-cold air that blasted at them, tearing ice off the narrow canyon walls and shooting snow, small rocks, and ice into the skin of their exposed faces. Eilwen held her cloak over her face, which had already suffered 2 lacerations. "We need to find shelter," Aron shouted above the wind. She could barely see him or anything through the furious gale that howled down around them. They moved behind a large boulder, which for a time offered a modicum of shelter, at least until the winds shifted again. Eilwen looked about them, looking for something, anything, where they could get out of these slashing winds. Okay, this is a face danger plus wits because she's using her observation. And I rolled a 5 on the action dice plus 2 for her wits for a 7 against a 5 and a 10 on the challenge dice for a weak hit at least. I will choose to suffer stress. So her spirit suffers -1 and she's now at 3 out of 5. I will do the endure stress move and I rolled a 1 on the action dice plus 3 for her current spirit against a 1 and a 1 on the challenge dice, and wow, that was extremely lucky. She will embrace the darkness and take +1 momentum, bringing her momentum up to a 9 out of 10 now. Through the raging winds and ice and snow, she thought she saw something. She paused, and mid-shiver she cuffed snow and ice out of her face. She was not quite sure she could believe her eyes. There's a building there, I think. Through the near horizontal snow, up a winding path carved into the side of the cliff and pockmarked from the icy winds, she pointed to a partially crumbled rock tower up on a ledge. Who would build a tower here? Or who had built it? It was clearly very old. So on features, I had rolled a 94, something unusual or unexpected, and I thought a crumbling tower fit that bill. I think with all the architecture, the building in this episode and the bridge in the previous one, I should probably add another domain card, Ruins, to add to the existing pass card. Pulling their cloaks over their faces against the ice and snow, they half stumbled and slipped up the icy rock-strewn path, holding onto the slippery rocks as they inched forward. Finally, at the edge of the limits of their strength, they found the entrance to the tower. Is the tower locked? I think after all this time it is unlikely. And the oracle agrees and says no and. The once wooden door had rotted away long ago, and rusted iron hinges were all that remained. They plunged inside, tripping over each other, falling down on the floor, their breath coming in steaming clouds. Outside, the wind thrashed the tower walls. Had they not found shelter, Eilwen felt, they would have eventually frozen to death or been flailed alive by winds sharp enough to strip ice from rock. Well done, sister, Aron said, breathing hard, lying on his back. The wind still bit sharply at them, seeping through cracks where mortar had long ago disappeared, but this would shelter them until the weather changed, or for the night if it came to that. "A tower," she breathed, kneeling and digging into her pouch. Her egg was safe. She rewrapped it and pulled out a torch. Though it was only an hour or two after midday, with tall canyon walls and the storm outside, it seemed nearly night. "Who put a tower in this pass?" she asked, as she felt for an oil-soaked torch from her oiled sack that she prayed had kept out the moisture. She sighed when with flint and steel an orange light flickered and then flared to life. Stone stairs snaked upwards into darkness, and a rusted iron trapdoor lay in the center of the room. They moved deeper into the room, Eilwen leading the way, her torch flaring and guttering as she walked. "Well, my father's father may..." Kyffin hissed at the vague pain of warmth from Eilwen's torch on his nearly frostbitten hands. "May be preserved from the night. He told me that this pass was used as a way to get down into the lower lands, like the other pass south and east of Rock River. Perhaps this was a way station of sorts." One hand held his spear, the other he extended and contracted, trying to work blood into it. Eilwen's own hands also ached from the warmth. It was a blessing that they had found this place, Eilwen thought. Surely they would have all frozen to death had fortune not smiled upon them. "I wonder what happened to it?" Aron asked, standing and also looking about. Eilwen raised a torch above her head and looked down at the iron trapdoor at her feet. "They say it fell to the wild," Kyffin shrugged. "And that..." "Yes," a voice hissed at them from the darkness. "It fell to the wild." They spun and saw a figure standing on the steps of the stairway behind them, its torso in shadow. The two men raised their weapons. Eilwen raised her torch. "Who are you?" Aron shouted. "What are you doing here?" "To the chaos that runs amok through the veins of the world," the figure whispered and took a few more steps down the stairs. It was a man, she could tell, when his cheekbones and chin reflected the light from their torch. Eilwen couldn't see his eyes, but she felt a great sorrow when its gaze passed over her. Its eyes and mouth remained hidden behind a protruding brow. They felt a presence, a dark presence, as it considered them. "The humans who built this tower fell, and the elves who forged a home in these mountains feared and fled back to their cousins' forests." It took another step down, and they saw a horrible visage emerge into the light of Eilwen's torch. The thing's flesh had withered down to the bone, like thin paper-like parchment. Its dark eyes pure pools of liquid hate and night, and an unspoken need seemed to suck in the light. The smoke of her torch drifted towards it, and began to twist and spiral up around its torso. "And wisely so, for in this place I am master." The smoke wreathed and formed into what looked like a rough crown that spun lazily above his head. "Master, and yet slave." It continued in another hiss, and its voice rose in an anguished moan. In the light of Eilwen's torch, they saw that its shriveled hands extended in long, claw-like fingernails, dried with old blood. It clenched its hands and began to tremble. It stepped out fully into the torchlight, and its eye sockets held pure, black, impassive orbs, large and alien-looking, no whites at all. Swaths of black cloth wrapped about each limb. The eyes considered them, and a pale tongue snaked out over ruby-red lips plump with desire. but turned down in petulance and pain. It stood perhaps 20 paces away and watched them with those dark orbs. Eilwen felt a nameless dread, and as one the trio looked back toward the open doorway to possible escape. Yet where could they flee to? Death awaited them in the storm that thrashed and howled about just outside the ruined opening. You're not human. What are you? Eilwen gasped. Aron had moved in front of her, his axe and shield out defensively, and Kyffin stood to her right, his spear trembling in both hands. Alone, it responded, its face twisting in sorrow and anger. They all left me alone, so alone. Elvendria, the Shining One, she left me first. Valsheen and Orador, the Blades of Honor, left me next. Then all the humans and all the elves, all those who I had called dear, fled. They blamed me, of course, but I remained faithful to my quest. What was your quest? She whispered, and wasn't sure if it heard her above the scouring wind outside. Power, and its plump lips twisted into a smile. And I succeeded. Oh, how I succeeded. A groan of pain and regret issued from between those hateful lips. Only I know how well I completed my quest. There is power for the taking under the hills and the wild places that mask the iron pillars. The mysteries of shades, the rituals of pain, the doom of despair, the necessary sacrifices of unplanned innocence and life essence. So very necessary, but never enough. It is never enough, always lacking, and yet here into my very tower come friends to share in my feast. We mean you no ill, Eilwen stammered, her heart thudding in her chest. Let us pass in peace and go our way. We only seek to be out of these mountains. Its lips stretched to an insane, too wide grin, teeth filed to points, the plump lips twisting into a mocking grimace of welcome as its head tilted to the side as if considering. Then it shook side to side slightly. No, you are my guests who must stay. I and my friends welcome you to our feast. At the word feast, it spread its arms wide, his body forming a T, palms facing upward, and it cackled a gleeful laugh. And under that mocking laugh, Eilwen heard the flapping of dark wings. As her torch flared up even brighter, half of its fuel consumed in an instant of bright light, revealing the fullness of the strange and awful figure before them. Aron and Kyffin cried out at the flare-up, and she dropped her torch. It fell into some debris, burning in fitful sputters. Her bow was in her hands, and with trembling fingers she fitted an arrow, and it didn't seem to mind. In the waning light, two winged shapes, each with wingspans as wide as the madman's own arms, perched on each of his forearms. They had a lean, angular form with large dagger-shaped claws. They hissed, and tongues forked out between elongated jaws with rows of needle-like teeth. They wanted to hunt, but I held them back. But now feast, my friends. Edris permits it. Feast on blood, bone, tissue, tendon, and mankind's marrow. There are plenty of precious ruby drops for all. Feast. Okay, now I'll reveal the rest of what I rolled previously. On Face Danger, I had rolled a 95. It said, roll twice on this table. Both results occur. If they are the same, make it worse. Great. First roll was 16. Denizen guided by a greater threat. Okay. Second roll, 99. And we get this again. Roll twice on this table. Both results occur. If they are the same, make it worse. A little ridiculous to do it again, but I ran with it, and here's what I got. First roll, 21. Weather of environmental threat. Second roll, denizen hunts. Combine all of that with a negative twist, and what do you get? Possibly a TPK. But that'll have to wait until next episode. The figure gave a dreadful howl as the two winged creatures leaped and darted towards Eilwen and her companions in a too-swift glide, fueled by a single powerful beat of each of their wings. Her heart seemed to shrivel up inside of her as she shrank back under buffetings of fear and promise of pain and death. Thank you for joining us, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed what you experienced. If you would like to support Roll, Ponder, and Play, you can do so in a number of ways. You can give the show a positive review on your podcatcher of choice. You can share the show with your friends and family and on your socials. Nothing beats word of mouth as a way to bring in new listeners. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/Roll, Ponder, and Play. There you can find show notes and transcripts, as well as other projects I'm involved in. And paid subscribers get access to subscriber-only episodes, shows, and other content. Finally, you can simply reach out to me and say hello. Comments from you are what inspire me to keep doing this, and I'd sincerely love to hear what you think of the show. To do so, you can find me on my Patreon, or on Discord at Roll, Ponder, and Play, or by email at rollponderandplay@gmail.com. I'd like to share one of those comments now. This comment comes from Brian, creator of Swords Against Madness and Trans Real News. For a bit of context, I had asked to sign up Queen of Shadows on the Solo Roleplayers Network. Brian didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who he was. But Brian sent me this email. After I saw your email, I started listening to Queen of Shadows right away, and I'm hooked. I love the way you tell your stories. Your language is dark, rich, and poetic, in a way I wish I could match. And your voice, I envy your pipes. I definitely hope to see you on the SRN Discord. In the meantime, I will be binging your show. Brian, thank you. That comment means a lot. And it certainly put a big grin on my face. In fact, I shared it the very day that I received it to my family members to show them that, see, I'm doing stuff that people enjoy. Anyway, I'm sure you know as well as anyone how much a single positive comment means in the vast vacuum of silence. I'm very glad that you're enjoying Queen of Shadows, and I hope I can continue to make it binge-worthy into the future. Oh, and I wish you all the best with your own podcast, which I just started listening to. Very enjoyable. Well, my friends, that's it for now. Until we meet again on Roll, Ponder, and Play, may your own dice rolls ever bring you success.